And this video today is just about me being totally transparent and totally honest about the whole journey. Anyway, there's never been an issue with the money. And I'm asking, please take these comments down, because the access that I was given was just view only in the YouTube studio. So I wasn't even allowed to go on and remove a comment. The moderator that we had, she removed comments, but then she got told by them, don't remove any comments, we'll remove them. Don't matter how bad they are, we'll remove them. Let's not take away the fact that between the three of us, all right, we've built a channel that has just been amazing. But over the years, all right, what happened was when we come to this agreement, the guys, the cameraman, the editor, I'm going to call them by the name now because obviously, you know, some of you know, so the cameraman. So I promised all this, but I've got to sign this contract first. One of the reasons, right, which I'm going to get onto in a minute, is about my mental health. Now, I put this video out that I'd resigned on Friday. I'd actually handed my resignation in Thursday the week before. And I'm going to be honest, within that week, as soon as I put it in that Thursday night, within 3 hours, the bank account was, within 3 hours, I was locked out of the email. So I could no longer get onto the Rate My Takeaway email. Within 5 hours, the bank account was emptied. They have not given me control of the channel. So let's go back to this, right? In my head, I own a third of Rate My Takeaway, the brand, the business. This is what I've signed up for. All right? He followed me out. He then threatened physical aggression. The next day, I wake up and I'm anxious and there's all this stuff going on. And then I have a stroke. And over the past few weeks, or the few weeks leading up to me resigning, there were a few issues that had gone on. He's not telling me where the van is. I've got no claim over the van. I'm not having the van, or I'm not having anything to do with the van, which I think is unfair. He then said about legal action and that I need to get a solicitor to contact him within 7 days, and then repeatedly said that there's going to be, it's inevitable that legal action is going to come. So within my notice, what I put in there was that I was willing to film 12 episodes, which is what I film per month, and that one of them I would like to be a farewell episode. This is not goodbye from me, all right? It is just Rate My Takeaway has come to an end because of how it is affecting me and my mental health. Going back to Matt, having a dig at mental health and saying, why is it always people with mental health? Matt, you know what, mate? I so hope that you don't ever suffer the way that I have. I so hope that you don't end up having the brain damage and have a stroke, because it does mess you up. And to say the comment that you said, you know, I know that you don't like me. I know that you've got a grudge to bear, which is fine. All right. But to say that, that is proper below the belt. Now then, guys, how you doing? So obviously I put a video out last week announcing that I was coming away from Rate My Takeaway. So I thought I'd just come on today because obviously since I put that video out, Cameraman Editor have put a video out, taken it down, they've put a couple of statements out, edited them, and you know, things are a little bit unclear. Making that first video were a little bit difficult for me to do, to be honest, because doing Rate My Takeaway has been part of my life for the last, nearly 5 years. So having to come to that decision was a very big thing. Now, there's just a couple of points that I want to clarify, okay, just to make very clear, because people are getting a little bit mixed up and assumptions, which is fine. So the money situation, okay, within Rate My Takeaway, nobody got greedy in that. Not one of us. Let me make that clear. All right. It wasn't anything to do with money. We all agreed from the beginning that we would split it 3 ways, and I'm happy with that. always have been happy with that. And so were the other guys. All right. So it's never been an issue. Me stepping away has never been an issue with the money. What it was is the reason why we did that and we split it 3 ways is I was told I'd be an equal partner within the company, Rate My Takeaway. So when we first went viral, I got made an offer by the 2 lads, and the offer was I could have 50% of the ad revenue, or I could be an equal partner within the company. Obviously, I chose to be an equal partner because I knew that, you know, there's a lot more worth in that. I knew that we'd build something amazing together, which is what we've done. All right, let's not take away the fact that between the 3 of us, all right, we've built a channel that has just been amazing. But over the years, all right, what happened was when we come to this agreement, the guys, the cameraman, the editor, I'm going to call them by the name now because obviously, you know, some of you know. So the cameraman is Tom, the editor is Josh. So Tom sort of in charge, all right, he's always been in charge. What they said to me is they wanted to manage me as a creator, all right, so to become my manager. Now, we had an issue where we got contacted by Lifted Entertainment. Lifted Entertainment wanted to put a version of Rate My Takeaway or something different on TV. At that point, that's when we started talking about contracts and this and the other. Now, I was promised, well, what Tom said to me was, nobody is filming anymore. Nobody's doing anything else on Rate My Takeaway until I sign this management contract. Okay? And this video today is just about me being totally transparent and totally honest about the whole journey. All right? Because this is what I want to be with. Now, the agreement is that they look after me outside the Rate My Takeaway. They manage me as an influencer. They do their very best to make sure that I get jobs, opportunities, and create a platform for me. Now, what they did is they helped me with a Facebook page, but they have ownership of that. They took ownership of that. They then just concentrated on Rate My Takeaway and nothing else. Now, Lifted Entertainment, sadly, didn't want to work with Tom. This is what the guy said to me. He said he was just wasn't a right fit for them. Now, at this time, right, when they were asking me to sign this contract, I was promised 1/3 of the Rate My Takeaway business. I was promised part of Rate My Plate, which is one of their other companies, and that we'd possibly do something on that. So I was promised all this, but I've got to sign this contract first. So just to put it into context, at that time, it was about 8 weeks, 9 weeks after my ex-partner had passed away. And I was there with 3 kids at home. I just had a lump of money go into my bank from YouTube, which was phenomenal. All right. Which would have been probably 4 to 5 months' wages, what I would have got before. So, thinking to myself, what am I going to do? I thought this is going to look after my family. I was highly sedated on antidepressants because of the situation and you know, me thinking what I'm going to do with my kids. Now, I'm not using this as an excuse. I'm just putting into context how I was at the time. So I just went with it. I signed the contract. The thing is, I never got anything from them regarding Rate My Takeaway once I'd done that. I never got access to things. They managed everything. They told me what to do, where to be, what time. Managed all the finances. I got paid. They paid, you know, they give me a card to pay for the takeaways and they booked the hotels. Right. Then, you know, I found out a few things. So obviously I've always banged on about paid reviews and that, you know, I've not done a paid review. So on YouTube, when I was doing YouTube, never done a paid review, right? But when we were on Facebook right in the beginning, we went up to Scotland and I did a place called McDee's, and the lads informed me afterwards that we'd got paid for this and that we'd been paid, I think it was about 250 quid for travel costs up to Scotland. All right. So, but what I want to reiterate here is I didn't know at the time. They told me this after the fact. Okay. Now, the other sort of paid things that we've done, obviously, you know that we did Parliament for the, American tour. So they sponsored us to do that. So that's a sponsor. So nothing to do with takeaways. We did a sponsored one with, Betfred. So Betfred asked me to go to the 2 semi-finals and the grand final. So we did that. Again, just sponsored us to go to these venues, not to go to takeaways. We chose the own. We looked where to go. And then the other one is we did a deal with Uber, where basically Uber would give us they give us a list of like 50 takeaways within Leeds, which were already on our list anyway. And it basically was a sponsorship deal for us to at some point to go to a couple of them. But again, it didn't influence what we'd done. I didn't know which one it was at the time. That was a stipulation. I'd never know which one it was. So just to be honest and transparent. So, for me, that's what they managed. It wasn't me. I got told what to do. I got told where to go. If I ever recommended a place, they would basically just turn their nose up at it and say, oh, no, we want to do this. Even down to what I'm going to be having off the menu. They would look at the menu and they would tell me what to get off the menu. So I wasn't going in there most of the time getting my free choice. I was going in there off what they wanted me to do. And this is what structured the channel. All right. And if I'm honest with you, 90% of the time, it worked well doing that. But where the issues come for me is it then got, sort of into like 2020, back end of 2022, and things started to change a little bit to the point where I wasn't feeling it. There were arguments between us about petty little things. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not painting myself out to be a saint in this, all right, because, I can be as mardy as anyone, all right, and sometimes I won't want to go film, sometimes I'd be too tired, and things, the relationship between us started to change. Tom and Josh argued like there were no tomorrow, all right, all the time. Unfortunately for Josh, he lives in one of Tom's houses, so he's controlled by him, okay. So leading up to, me meeting Sophie, I know a lot of people are thinking that it's Sophie that's doing this, or I've read comments about her pulling the strings, this, that and the other. That is so far from the truth. That is unreal. I am telling you now, I am my own man and I will make my own decisions. Sophie has no influence over what I do within social media whatsoever. Okay, there is many a times where she said, shall we film this, shall we do that? And I just said, no, I don't feel like it, or don't want to do that. No influence whatsoever. And the amount of abuse that she's getting, right, it is just unfair. It is uncalled for. And the racist comments are just disgusting, right? And I will categorically say, hand on heart, she has had nothing to do with my decision. If anything, right, she's more worried about me doing this than anyone because of the effect it's going to have on me walking away from something that I've created. Now, we got together, all right, and yeah, I was like a little kid again. I was running around and I proposed to her pretty fast. She fell pregnant, we got married. But all these things were my choice, not Sophie's. She's not gold digging. We are now living in her house, not mine, in hers, what she owns. So, it's something that I just wanted to address because one of the reasons, right, which I'm going to get onto in a minute, is about my mental health. Now, I put this video out that I'd resigned on Friday. I'd actually handed my resignation in Thursday the week before. And I'm going to be honest, within that week, as soon as I put it in that Thursday night, within 3 hours, the bank account was, within 3 hours, I was locked out of the email. So I could no longer get onto the Rate My Takeaway email. Within 5 hours, the bank account was emptied, split between the three of us. Right, so they didn't take the money, they split it between the three of us. And then on the Tuesday, the van was taken from the secure compound that we keep it in. Now, we got the van through the funds that we'd earned through Rate My Takeaway, through the sponsorship deal with Uber. That's why we did the sponsorship deal with Uber, and that would pay for the van. I've then been told, because I'm the registered keeper of the van, I've then been told by Tom, persistently, he's not telling me where the van is. I've got no claim over the van. I'm not having the van, or I'm not having anything to do with the van, which I think is unfair. He then said about legal action and that I need to get a solicitor to contact him within 7 days, and then repeatedly said that it's inevitable that legal action is going to come. So within my notice, what I put in there was that I was willing to film 12 episodes, which is what I film per month, and that one of them I would like to be a farewell episode. Because of the actions that they took straight away, draining the bank account, hiding the van, when they drained the bank account, that meant that the tax on the van wasn't paid. Now, I know that there was an issue. Somebody were commenting about the van being untaxed. And again, it's not down to me. This is, Tom sorts all this out, and he'd not taxed the van at one point, but it's me that owns the van, so I ended up getting a fine. We got a fine to pay because the van was untaxed for a couple of months, which I didn't know this. Okay, so the van, on the 1st, the payment hadn't been paid, the bank kicked it back, so there were no tax on the van. I got a message on Sunday from Tom to say I'm ready to film next week. Now, what I said is that I'm not going to film because there's no tax on the van, so then the van won't be insured. I'm not putting myself in that position again. But also, you've now told me to expect legal action by Friday. So I said, I don't think it's appropriate for me to be filming because of Friday. I'm waiting to hear from his solicitor. So then, obviously I've put the video out, and, I've seen the videos that they've put out, the video that they put out. I've seen the message what they put out. Now, it's fair enough, that there are two sides to every story, and theirs is going to be completely different to mine. All right, I understand this. You guys were asking for us to sit down and do a video, okay? That is no longer viable for me to do that with them because they would not let me do a video and say what I want to say and put it up unedited, right? Tom did say that he would do it live, but it just wouldn't happen. It'd be too threatening, all right, because he is quite a threatening guy towards me, I'm going to be honest with you. They have not given me control of the channel. So let's go back to this, right? In my head, I own a third of Rate My Takeaway, the brand, the business. This is what I've signed up for, all right? The contract between us for the management, that died 2 years ago because they didn't fulfil what they were supposed to fulfil, and there was a clause in there to say that if they lapsed for 30 days, the contract become void. And it had lapsed for more than 30 days, so the contract become void. We then spent ages trying to sort out a new contract, and they weren't having it. We did a deal with Estabulo for a sponsorship, okay? I know I'm jumping back and forward here, but it's just trying to give you a timeline and some things. So we did this deal, or should I say I brokered the deal, and afterwards we were sat in one of the guys' restaurants and we're having a bit of food. And I was like, guys, that's good that, we've got a 2 year deal. you know, this is really good. This money's going to help us. It's going to help us to you know, improve the channel. Now, what was said to me by Tom was, right, well, if you want that signing, you need to sign a contract with us. And he went back to the contract. And I said to him, this is nothing to do with my management. I'm in Rate My Takeaway 100%. It's a company that we own together. So this has nothing to do with me. I then went outside because I started to get a bit upset. And I said, I'm not doing this. Tom then followed me out. He then threatened physical aggression towards me. Josh was trying to break us up. Josh was, you know, Josh was in the middle quite a lot, if I'm honest with you. When it come to contracts with me, Josh agreed with me, but Tom just wouldn't budge. So on this particular day, Tom got aggressive. We ended up being escorted out from this shopping centre by security in different directions. I went home and just got bombarded with Tom with messages and phone calls. Now, a lot of the time, it would just be pick up the phone. He was a bit wise to verbally abusing me over message because he knew there would be proof. I wouldn't answer the phone because I didn't want to be put through that. The next day, I wake up and I'm anxious and there's all this stuff going on. And then I have a stroke. So I have said to Tom in the past, I said it to him in February, that, you know, I now suffer trauma when me and him have a disagreement. I got put under a psychiatric nurse, or psychiatric doctor, should I say, and one of the conclusions that we come to is that I've got trauma where it triggers off different emotions in my body when I'm with Tom, because I've associated that conversation and then I've had a stroke. Now, I'm not saying that 100% he caused this. I am just giving you context to why I've done what I've done. And I'm being truthful, okay? Like I said, you know, I'm not an angel. And, you know, I'd been verbally back to him, you know, up yours, get lost, you know, in a few different phrases. So I'm not being, you know, saying that I was sat there a saint, because I wasn't, you know. Last time it all kicked off between me and Tom was February. Contracts again. That I had to bring my dad in the end because I was so scared that I was going to end up having another stroke that my dad had to intervene. And the conclusion of it was that there would be no contract of them managing me. It would just be us three, Rate My Takeaway, and then the four of us, which was including my dad, for Rate My Takeaway Kitchen. So that left me then to pursue things on my own, do the stuff with Sophie, possibly look at doing a podcast with somebody else. But I was happy, you know, to do that kind of thing, not have a crossover with Rate My Takeaway whilst I was doing Rate My Takeaway. Fine. As far as I'm concerned, I own a 33% share in this business. It's a thriving business. We're doing well. You know, the problem was the relationship between me and Tom. It just got irretrievable. And February to sort of May time, I didn't film with him. It was Josh that come out filming because I couldn't be around Tom because it just made me feel so anxious. And, you know, if I'm honest with you, you know, I used to enjoy filming with Josh a lot better than I did Tom, because Josh was the one way back in the beginning that I met. I never met Tom. Well, at the time, his name was Lloyd, and then he changed his name to Tom for whatever reason. But I never met him for about 6 or 7 weeks. So mentally, it has been really hard doing this because the relationship become irretrievable. The relationship with me and Josh deteriorated, which was a shame because I had a far better relationship with Josh than I did Tom. And, you know, the way that Josh was acting towards me just completely changed. And over the past few weeks, or the few weeks leading up to me resigning, there were a few issues that had gone on. I went to visit somebody that we reviewed, and I found out that Josh were building a website for him, and he'd sort of used me to get in, which I wasn't happy about. And I sent a message, and they both just sort of shrugged it off. So like they're sort of earning money behind my back, doing other things, which, do you know what? I've been doing other things, that's fine. But when they're using me as a get-in, I didn't like it. But on Bank Holiday Monday, Josh, I don't know what was going on with him, but he was just having a go at me relentless. I went out with my family, I put the phone down. I had about 15 missed calls off him. Messages, answer the phone, answer the phone, answer the phone. And I just didn't want to talk to him. And I told him this, and I says, please leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. But he went at me. And it just, you know what? I've just got to a point where I've got to think, right, and everybody's done this. You've all worked, and you've got to a point where you've no longer enjoyed your job. Okay? Now, let me make this clear, right? They was the management of this. So everything that we did was orchestrated by them, right? I was led. I was the face of it. I'm the character. But where we went, what we did, how we did it, where we stayed, all by them. No control over me. I only just got to see the bank account in October last year. We set up a new company, opened the bank account, and then the revenue from YouTube and Facebook and that all went in there, so I can see the finances now. But up until then, never seen a thing. So for all I know, they could have been getting money from elsewhere. Not saying that they have, but they could have been, and I know nothing about it. All right, and this is the gripe that I've got. These are the reasons why. Now, one of the biggest things, one of the biggest issues for me has been the abuse, right, that has been on the channel for the last few years, and it has just constantly got worse and worse, where I've seen people go on who love the channel, and they've come off and they've stopped coming on to comment because there's just that amount of abuse on there towards myself, but more so my wife and my kids. Now, I took Summer, my daughter, to Mallorca, and we did a couple of videos, right, which Summer's happy to do. And the comments that she got on there were absolutely ripping me to bits. There were comments on there that were disgusting for a 15-year-old girl. And I'm asking, please take these comments down, because the access that I was given was just view only in the YouTube studio. So I wasn't even allowed to go on and remove a comment. The moderator that we had, she removed comments, but then she got told by them, don't remove any comments, we'll remove them. Don't matter how bad they are, we'll remove them. And I'm sat there and I'm reading comments about my 15-year-old daughter. I went to Malaysia at the beginning of August, and I'm sat in a hotel room with my daughter, with Josh on the phone, and my daughter's crying because of these comments, and I'm saying to him, please take them down. They've been on 2 months now, please take them down. And eventually it did, because I was saying, look, I'm not filming anymore until these comments are taken off. I shouldn't have to do that. And even now, you look at it now, all right, when people have gone on to their video, gone on to their thing, comments are being removed when it's bad ones about them. Comments are being removed when people are saying their names, because this is people that know them. But they're still allowing the abuse to go on in my family. I can no longer go on to Rate My Takeaway and put anything on. This is why I'm having to do it on here. Because they are in control, and they have always been in control, and they have just basically had me doing the filming, and then they've just controlled everything. So, you know, what they say in those statements, believe me, is so far from the truth. It's unbelievable. And, you know, my family, friends, people that have worked with these guys, right, that have worked with us, have all contacted me and said, you know, it's downright disgusting, you know, and they don't like them because of the way that they treat people. I've just been in this and built it with them. To come to this decision is a massive thing. Now, that's sort of where I am, right? It's not about money. We split the money equally, right? But what we should have done is split the business equally, like I was promised. And they've not done that, right? They've stolen the van. I don't know where the van is. I've repeatedly asked where the van is, and I just get told, none of your business. Okay? So all these nice little messages that they're putting on, don't, if you want to believe them, that's fine. I'm sure some people will be thinking I'm talking nonsense. But hand on heart, on my kids' lives, this is what has gone down, and this is how it has happened. I've just got a couple of notes here, so just bear with me, because I just wanted to make sure that I got all this in. So obviously, leading up to the resignation, my mental health has taken a really bad turn just because of where they are, the anxiety, the trauma that I've had. I'm just sick of arguing, and I'm worried that if I carry on, it's going to do me harm. So I pulled out. It is what it is. In my resignation, I give them 3 options on what we could do moving forward. They've not contacted me about them. They've just cut me straight out, and then they're just trying to make me look like I'm the bad one. But the thing is, right, no matter what's gone on, I still wish them the best, right? I'm sure that they'll come away from this. They'll get somebody else to host the channel. They'll do something else, all right? It's just, they just need to treat people a little bit kinder. That's all they need to do. Now, for me, obviously, I'm going to put this to bed now. Obviously, Matt from Food Review Club, he's made a statement. Fair play to you, Matt. Obviously, I made that statement about you, and I've done a few podcasts, and I've mentioned you. The podcast, Matt, if you listen to them, I will try and go along with your banter, if I'm honest with you, because obviously I've seen little comments popping up on your TikToks about banter and all this. So I thought, right, let's talk about having misfits and all this. Now, to say, oh, you've had your P45, you're an employee. I was never an employee. If I were an employee, then I'm owed sick pay. I'm owed holiday pay. They should have paid me tax and national insurance. So I'll have to look into that, Matt, thank you. But I was never an employee. So you're getting your facts wrong. Saying that I'm bumbling about. Obviously, I've built that YouTube channel with them. People have tuned in to watch me, Matt. They don't do that on YouTube for you. So, if you don't want to sit down and have a coffee about it, have a coffee and a chat about it, that's fine. I'll be honest with you, Tom, he absolutely hates you. He stalks you like there's no tomorrow. It were all, oh, look what Matt's done, done all this. Oh, Matt said this, right, do a video. Do you know what I mean? So, for me, you're supporting him. That's egg on your face, if I'm honest with you. But if you don't want to sit down and have a coffee, if you want to draw a line under it, Matt, that's fine. So that's it. Boom. We're done with Food Review Club. We're done. I just wanted to be honest, guys, and put it out there, because that's that. They did ask me to do a video. But, like I said, I'd already offered to do it. But then they took everything away, the van and everything. They made it uncomfortable. I got threatened with legal action. So I did not think it'd be appropriate that I then sit in a room with them whilst we're looking at legal action. Okay? So, I did the video myself and put it on here, because I knew that if I did that video and sent it to them to go and rate my takeaway, it would not have gone on, right? You can see that from me having no access, because they manage everything. Okay? So I've been as honest as I can be here, guys. Like I say, I'm not putting all the blame on them. When I had my stroke, things were difficult. My attitude did change. I suffer from fatigue, so I get groggy and tired. So I'm not saying that I'm not a nightmare to work with now, because I am. Because having a stroke, leaves me with a disability in my brain. So, that's that. I would like to thank him for the good times, because by heck, we had some good times, right? They said in the statement about being family. We were like family up until sort of the stroke, and then that started to change, and things just didn't go right after that. But the good times that we had were great. We had an amazing time in America. It's created some absolutely wicked memories that I'll never forget. So thank you for that, guys. I do really appreciate that. Like I say, I wish them all the best. But let's get to me. What's happening? What's going on? I will come back. I will bounce back from this, right? I'm going to have a few weeks to gather my thoughts. Obviously, wait and see what happens with the legal action. But I will be back. You bet your bottom dollar that I will be back. I just want to say thank you very much for everyone that has supported me. Everyone that has supported my family. Okay? This is not goodbye from me. Alright? It is just Rate My Takeaway has come to an end because of how it is affecting me and my mental health. Going back to Matt, having a dig at mental health and saying, why is it always people with mental health? Matt, you know what, mate? I so hope that you don't ever suffer the way that I have. I so hope that you don't end up having the brain damage and have a stroke, because it does mess you up. And to say the comment that you said, you know, I know that you don't like me. I know that you've got a grudge to bear, which is fine. All right. But to say that is proper below the belt. Also, Tom were the same. One of the communications that we had is he said that I cannot use mental health to not film. Yes, I can, because it's causing me to be ill. So there. Anyway, I don't want to go on too much. I just want to say, bang, I'm back. I'm here. I'll be with you. I've got big things coming, big ideas. Stay tuned. Thanks for your support, and I love you all so much. Take care. Love you lots.